Hello everyone. In this video, we will be talking about Accounting Standard 5, that is net profit or loss for the period, prior period items and the changes in the accounting policy. Now, what is this accounting standard, why this accounting standard is required and what it wants to explain, that we are supposed to understand, that we'll understand from a little background story. Understand this. Suppose if I tell you that we are selling the shirts, we are manufacturing the shirts and we are selling the shirts, that is our normal course of business. Okay, so you will say, sir, it means you will be earning some profit from that particular business. Very good. Now if I tell you, suppose it's been 3 to 4 years of doing that business. Okay, and after that you felt that your factory machinery has been obsolete, or you can say that you need to replace the machineries. Okay, then what will you say? Sir, we can sell the old machine, we can sell the old equipments and then we can purchase the new ones. Okay, if I tell you that when you sold that machinery in the market, no, according to your book value in that machine, after putting depreciation of 3 to 4 years, suppose the machine value was 25,000. Okay, you went to the market and you sold it for 35,000. It means you will say, sir, it means we have earned 10 rupees due to sale of fixed assets. Very good. What if I tell you that the sales of fixed asset, was it our normal course of business? Think properly. See, which business we were doing? Our main business was selling of shirts, manufacture the shirts and sell the shirts. If I tell you that we have earned 10,000 rupees from selling the equipment, selling the machinery, will you say that it is the profit from ordinary sources, or can you say it is the profit from ordinary activity or extraordinary activity? You will obviously say, sir, it is not our normal course of business. So now if I tell you that we can bifurcate our profits into two different things, one is ordinary, another one is extraordinary. Anything which is not in our normal course of business, that you can say as ordinary activity. Understood? Now we will start with our concept number 1, ordinary activity only, and then we will go on. See, concept number 1 we have here is ordinary activities. What do you mean by ordinary activities? See, ordinary activities are entities, business activity, and activities related, or you can say incidental to such business. It means, as we already said, that manufacturing of shirts is our main business. So the laborers required, the factory rent we pay, that all are related to our main business only. So all those activities are also the ordinary activities only. Okay, we will read more about ordinary activity. Understand, these activities are expected to occur as part of business, as part of business. It is our main course of business, it is the normal course of business. Okay, भाई मेन धंधा क्या है? मेन धंधा है शर्ट बनाओ और शर्ट बेचो. ओके, नाउ these activities arise in the normal course of business, so the frequency of the activity is high. Okay, now suppose as in our example we are manufacturing shirts. If I tell you that how many shirts will you sell shirts regularly, you will say obviously we are there to earn the profits. Now to earn profits we are selling shirts every day. It means that sales of shirts, these kind of journal entry will take place almost every day, because that is our main course of business. That activity, the frequency of happening sales, the frequency of manufacturing the shirts will be very high, because it is happening every day. Understood? So you can say the frequency of the activity is high. Few of the capsules related to this are, see, the sales of goods, if we are in the manufacturing or if we are in the trading of goods business. Okay, providing services, suppose we are chartered accountants, we are lawyers. If we are providing services, then the profit earned from providing services is the normal course of business. Now sale of scrap, you can say See, I am in the manufacturing sector, okay. So I have manufactured shirts. Now, if I have manufactured so much shirts, you will know that there would be some scrap material left, some raw material is also left. So what will I do? I will either sell it. So when I will sell it, that is also the normal course of business only. Why? See, because I undertook the manufacturing of shirts, that's why I have scrap, right? Understood? If I would not have bought the raw materials for manufacturing shirts, will I have any scrap? You will say obviously no. That's why sale of scrap is also ordinary activity. Why? See the definition, we have already said activities related or incidental to such business. So sale of scrap is related to such business only. Now after this, interest income or interest expenses, these all are related to our business only. Simple. Now the next item we have here to study is under ordinary activity only, the item we have is exceptional items. See, what is exceptional item? You can say that few items which are ordinary activities only, but they have a exceptional nature. Sir, if they are ordinary activity only, can we say that these are the ordinary activities? See, to provide a better explanation, we can say that they, because of their nature, because of the size of the transaction, because of the importance, or as we studied in the AS1, you can say because of the materiality level of these transactions, we call them exceptional items. Simple. Say if I tell you, suppose I have some litigation settlement expenses, okay, or you can say suppose I have sold some fixed asset, so I will be earning the profits. Now as soon as I say this, no, you will think, but that is not in the normal course of business, that is not the normal course of business, but you can say that fixed assets are related to my business only. So these are exceptional in nature. Why? Because it might happen in 3 years time, in 4 years time, or in 5 years time, or it might happen in 10 years time. It is not regular in nature. So you can also say that frequency of exceptional items is very low. Understood? By definition, we can learn here exceptional items are, it is the part of ordinary activities then these items require, now be very careful, these items require separate disclosure based on, please write with me, based on size, nature or incidence of transaction. See, we'll read few of the capsules, it will give us a better clarity. See, first is profit or loss on disposal of fixed asset. Understand this. Because we did the business, it happened. Understand this. Exceptional items are also the part of ordinary activities only. I am saying this again and again. They are part of ordinary activity only, but the only thing is they need separate disclosure. Why? See, if I give you an example, understand this very carefully, okay? Suppose there is a company, say ABC Limited, okay? Now you want to invest in ABC Limited and I am providing you the data. Please decide, okay? Suppose this is the year 2019, this is the year 2020 and you have here net profits detail, net profits. In 2019 there was a profit of 1 lakh rupees and in 2020 there is a profit of 1,20,000 rupees. So I am giving you an advice or I am recommending that ABC Limited is the data you have. As soon as I gave you this data, no, what you thought? Okay, 20,000 rupees increase in the net profit. It means there is a 20% growth. So you were taking the decision only that okay, I am ready to invest in ABC Limited. But you know what happened? Somebody called you from behind. Who called? Your chartered accountant called. What that chartered accountant said? He said, please ask for entire details of this net profit. So you said that please provide the entire details of the ABC Limited. You went to ABC and ABC provided you the entire details. Now be very careful. They said, see, this is the data, and their explanation was that profit from sales of goods was here 1 lakh and here it was 90,000. Then profit from sale of old machinery, here is 30,000 and here it was nil, and that is how they got 1,20,000 in 2020, and that's how it was 1 lakh rupees in the previous year. This information you received from ABC, and then your chartered was laughing because he said, if this is the reality, it means, see, understand that in the normal course of business, the business is facing losses, there is no profit, and hence we cannot invest in that. But sir, totally the profit is 1,20,000 and this is 1 lakh. Why can't we compare this? Understand this. The 1,20,000 is due to this reason of 30,000 rupees. But sir, then why my chartered accountant is not considering this 30,000 the profit? Because he knows that the company will not be selling old machinery every year. This might happen in 3 years, 4 years or 5 years. That is why it is said to be exceptional item. That is why it requires a separate disclosure, because the investors must know that how they are earning this profit, how a company is having this 20% growth in a year, what is the reason behind it. This is the reason that in the current year they have sold old machinery, there is no growth in the sales, there has been a drop in the sales, okay, there has been the drop in the revenue from normal course of business, and hence we decided not to invest in this company. Understood? That is how we are supposed to disclose these exceptional items in our statement of P&L. I will show you how we are supposed to disclose after reading all these points. Okay, now see, this was the profit or loss from disposal of fixed asset. After that, like same, profit or loss on disposal of long-term investment, these have the same treatment. Next is legislative changes having retrospective application. What are these? Suppose there is some law passed or some act passed in our country that requires us to change our system of salaries, change our system of wages. So according to that, you can say, because it has been imposed on us, because there is a change in statute, it has been applied by the statute, then we have to provide a disclosure in our annual reports, so that our users, our shareholders must know that whatever effect on profit and loss statement has been, it has been due to the change by statute. It has been a change due to the change in law. Understood? We are talking these points. Why? Because these all points must be having a separate disclosure. We have to present a separate disclosure. Every important point says that these are the exceptional items. It requires a separate disclosure in the annual report, or you can say in the financial statements. After this, they are saying there is a litigation settlement. Now what is litigation settlement? It happened many years back, I think in America. A person filed some case against McD because they said that you are using the, that cow's flesh or something in their burger. So what did McD do? McD provided him some lump sum amount, say some 1.5 to 2 crores in Indian currency. And I don't know about the exact dollar amount, but that much money they provided to settle the case out of the court. So that is called as litigation settlement. As soon as I say this, a student says, sir, don't you think it is illegal because they are settling this out of the court? See, the person who filed the charges against McD, court everywhere provides this chance that if you both can settle your case, that is fine. If you both are not able to settle, then come to me. Understood? If they both were able to settle, what will McD do now? McD will write in their annual reports that I have paid 2 crore rupees as litigation settlement to this person. Now, this is an exceptional item. It requires a separate disclosure. Remember this, it is valid for each and every point. After that, reversal of provisions. Provision what we create, provision for tax, provision for depreciation. If we are doing a reversal, that is what they are saying, that it is the exceptional item. Then there are many exceptional items. See, writing down value of inventory from book value to NRV. payment to employees under VRS scheme, reversal of provisions. This has been already done here. Restructuring of the activity of an entity. It means what? Suppose we are in the business of shirt manufacturing. Now, suppose we want to manufacture jeans also, and we want to stop, or you can say we want to continue our shirts business and enter into jeans market. So this is called as restructuring of the activities of an entity. We are restructuring entire activities. So whatever items are there, whatever expenses will be there, these all are exceptional items. But sir, we are doing business only na? Exactly. It means these are ordinary activities only. But because the nature is such, the size is so huge, that's why we are providing them a separate disclosure, that we are telling our shareholders that we are entering into jeans market, we are stopping the shirt manufacturing. Understood? That is why it is an exceptional item. Now, you must remember that exceptional items, restructuring expenses must be charged to profit and loss account. Now, after this, few of the capsules we will see for exceptional items. First is embezzlement of cash. You know, embezzlement means stealing of cash. That is also in the normal course of business. That is exceptional item. It will not happen every day, but it might happen in some businesses. In the small business, it happens that managers or the laborers, if they are doing this, who have the authority with the cash, they might do this. So they say it is an exceptional item. Voluntary retirement expenses. Whenever the employees want to retire, that voluntary retiring, then the company pays them some money. So they include that generally in the salaries part only. Retrospective increase of salaries. What do you mean by retrospective increase? Suppose this point is very, very important. Be very, very careful. Suppose I have 3 employees who are working, okay. They worked for me from 2020 also, 2021, 2022, and then now 2023 also, okay. Now my employee says that you have not increased the salary from 2020, we are going home, we will not work. So I told them, okay, suppose their salary was 10,000 rupees. Their salary was 10,000 rupees per month, okay. I told them, okay, I will increase your salary to 10,200. They said, you are good for nothing. You are pakka Marwadi. You will increase 200 rupees only. That is very less. We are not able to survive like this. I said, understand this. I am increasing your salary including from the previous year. What does it mean? That I will pay you 10,200 rupees salary starting from 2022. It means he said that for the entire 12 months of 2022, you will pay us 200 rupees for each month. I said, yes, exactly. For last year also I will pay 200 for entire month. It means 2,400 for last year. And for the current year also, for every month your salary will be 10,200. Now are you happy? Now he said, now I am happy. Understood this? Now see. After this, what does it say? A suit for damages for breach of contract. Suppose a company has entered into a contract with some person and we are not able to comply with the terms now. We have worked for 1.5 months, but now we cannot comply with the contract. So we are saying we cannot work now, so you have to pay some damages. Remember this, okay? Damages are like, because you will be filing a case. I can tell you there was a case by, if I am correct, that ZTV filed a case against, there was a very popular singer. They had a contract between them that this singer will sing only for ZTV shows, okay. What happened? This singer sung songs in the different shows also other than ZTV. So ZTV filed a case against the singer, and then this singer had to pay for damages. Understood? It means whenever you will breach the contract, you have to pay some damages. Understood? After this, pilferage for stock. Pilferage for stock means, stock gets spoiled if there are so many days. If you are doing the business of groceries, or you can say if your containers, if you have imported some goods, so it may get spoiled in transit or in your godown somewhere. That is pilferage of stock. I will write here spoilage. Okay. Now These all are exceptional items only. They say it happens in the normal course of business. We call them exceptional because of their nature, because their frequency is very, very low. It happens once in a lifetime, or you can say like restructuring happens once in a lifetime or maybe twice in a lifetime. Pilferage for stock and all those things, they will not happen daily. Understand this. Sometimes it may happen, might be in a 6 months time, might be once in 8 months, like that. Understood? Now I will show you how do they present in their profit and loss statement. We can check in Asian Paints. I will show you the annual report for Asian Paints. See, whenever I am saying there is a separate disclosure, see how they are showing it. This is the statement of profit and loss. Revenue from operation, revenue from product, services, total income. Okay. After this, see, expenses, all the expenses are here. Cost of material consumed, purchase, change in inventory, employee benefit expense like salaries, what we used to study in 11th and 12th, other expenses. Then this is total expense. This is earning before interest, tax and depreciation. After that, finance cost, that is our interest expense, depreciation. Profit before share of profit in associate and exceptional item. It means exceptional items are not included here. They are not included here. Remember this. They are not included here. Remember this. Why? Because I have already said they need a separate disclosure. So after this, see, share of profits, this is profit before exceptional items. Understood? After this, they will mention here exceptional items. We can go in the point number 39, note number 39 and check what are the exceptional items. But we don't need to do that because that is the personal matter of Asian Paints. We are not supposed to see that. Okay. If you want to invest in Asian Paints, you can. Now, exceptional items, they are disclosing like this. Why? Because it needs the separate disclosure according to AS5, and that's why they want to show the effect. See how. If I now tell you how much is the profit for Asian Paints, if I tell you that the profit is 4187 rupees, okay. Now this would be the wrong information because the original profit was 4303 and due to some exceptional items there is a loss in exceptional items of 115. That's why now the profit is 4187. But from the ordinary course of business, from the normal course, the profit were much higher. So this is the real picture of the normal course of business. Understood this? Exceptional items, after including exceptional items, this will become your changed profit of 4187. Understood this? I will show you one more report in Reliance Limited. See, it will be page number, see, look here. Check. Again here also the same thing, revenue from operation, total income, expenses, total expense, profit. Then here is exceptional items in the note number 32. This is the Reliance Limited annual report of last year. Okay. Exceptional items will always have a separate disclosure in the statement of P&L. Understood? Why? Because our accounting standard 5 requires that. Now, moving back to our accounting standard, see. This was the accounting standard 5. We completed exceptional items, ordinary activities. Now understand the next topic we have here is concept number 2, extraordinary items. What we have completed? Ordinary items, ordinary activities. Now it is extraordinary activities. You can simply say activities which are you can simply say activities which are not ordinary activities are extraordinary items. Okay, I'll write the definition. Activities which are clearly distinct from the ordinary activities. Understood? It means it has no relation with the ordinary activity. First thing, it means it has no relation with the normal course of business. For example, suppose there has been some earthquake, there has been some flood, there has been some hurricane, anything like that. Suppose there has been a fire in the factory, that is the extraordinary item. Now understand this. Activities which are not expected to occur as part of business. See, earthquake is not our part of business. Our business was manufacture shirts and sell. Understood? They are infrequent in nature. Earthquake will not happen every day. Okay, that's why it is infrequent in nature. Classification of the item is based on nature of the item but not on the frequency. See, what happens many times students look at the frequency. If it is given that it happens very rarely or very infrequently, we directly think it is extraordinary. No, it can be exceptional also. Now you have to do the classification based on the nature of the item. See, if the nature of the item is such that it happens in the normal course of business, then it is exceptional item. If the nature of the item is such that it does not happen in the normal course, then it will become extraordinary. It requires some degree of professional judgment. I will tell you a very simple formula to identify which is exceptional and which is extraordinary items. Okay, before that we'll just complete these capsules. An earthquake is obviously extraordinary. Attachment of property, it means suppose there has been some case against our company and the law of the land, the High Court or the Supreme Court has attached our property to that, and you can do no business and all, nothing. Your properties are attached. Refund of the government grant. Some money we have received now from the government as donation. Now we have to provide the refund. Then seizure of the assets by government is the same thing, like it happened in the cases of big don, like say Dawood Ibrahim. I think that his property has been seized by our government. Now see, the main problem comes where is by the students, that is that it becomes difficult to identify which item is exceptional, which item is extraordinary. Okay, I will just give you some examples. Selling goods, suppose. Second is provide services, pay rent, pay salary, loss from fire. Understood? I am giving you one sentence that you have to follow to identify which is exceptional and which is extraordinary. Okay, ready? You will read the sentence. Because I am doing business, I have to. This is your sentence. Now see, because I am doing business, I have to sell goods. This is your ordinary activity. Simple. Because I am doing business, I have to provide services. Again, ordinary. Because I am doing business, I have to pay rent. Ordinary. Because I am doing business, I have to pay salary. Ordinary. Because I am doing business, I have to face loss from fire. Why? I have to face loss from fire because I am doing business. What is this logic? Am I doing business to face the fire? Obviously no. That is why it becomes extraordinary. Understood? Even extraordinary requires the separate disclosure. Remember this. But we are telling that whether it is exceptional or extraordinary. Now see, the next point we have here is net profit or loss for the period. What do you mean by this? See, while calculating net profit or loss from the period for the particular period, you have to include the income and expenses of ordinary activity and extraordinary activity also. Now see, we'll just write the definition here. All the items, please write with me, okay? It will improve your habit of writing these answers. And expenses which are recognized in a financial year, and should form part of profit and loss account, or you can say statement of profit and loss for that particular period. Now, the net profit or loss for the period will include profit or loss from ordinary activity and from extraordinary activity, extraordinary items also. Okay, you can say like this, that see, I will just tell you, if there is this net profit before tax, some item, then add exceptional items, then it will be, see, net profit before tax and exceptional items and extraordinary activity, then add exceptional, then it will become net profit before tax and extraordinary activity, then again add or less whatever it is, extraordinary activity, then what you will get is your net profit before tax, then less taxes, then is your amount. Understood? We will prepare statement of profit and loss at the end after understanding prior period item also, so it will give us you more clarity. See, now understanding the next topic here, prior period items. What are prior period items? This is our main topic for the standard. Understand this. Okay, what do you mean by prior period? It says, understand, income and expenses which, be careful, arise in the current period as a result of errors or omissions in the preparation of financial statements of one or more prior, or you can say previous years or previous periods. Okay, for example, say we sold goods in the month of March. Okay, say 1st March we sold some goods and we sold the goods on credit. Okay, now management thought that they might not be receiving that money from the debtor. They sold goods for 1 lakh rupees. They said whenever we will receive from this particular customer, only that day we will record the sale. Then what happened? He paid in the month of July. So what did management thought? That okay, in July we received the payment, now we will write this. This is wrong. Why? Because we have to follow accrual basis of accounting. They must have recorded sale in the month of March only. We have already learned what is accrual basis in the accounting standard 1. Okay, now they must be recording the sale in the March month, but they did not record, and now they are saying that we will record in the month of July. Understand this thing. Prior period item says that sale happened in the March month. The management knows about this. When I am saying as a result of error or omission in the preparation of FS of one or more prior periods, it does not mean that management did not see that information. No, no, no. Management knows about that information, but management purposely ignores this, purposely does not record that in the previous year. Understood? Because of some logic, God knows what logic they apply. That is why it is called as the mistake, and then we are correcting that mistake in this particular accounting standard. But obviously in the current year I cannot say this is my sale. That's why I say this is the prior period item. Understood this? You will understand in the further capsules. See, suppose the question first is capsule number 1. Advise B Company Limited. Okay, see, you are a chartered accountant, you are supposed to advise. Now see, advise B Company Limited about the treatment of the following in the financial statements of the account for the year ending 31st March 2012. So the company finds that the stock sheets as on 31st March 2011. See, we are standing on 31st March 2012. The company finds that the stock sheet as on 31st March 11 had included twice an item, the cost of which was 55,000. Sir, what has happened? See, this is your 31st March 2011, 31st March 2012. See, you are the auditor of the company. We will draw the auditor. This is our auditor. Auditor is always happy getting fees simply. See, if he is getting the fees, he is working also. See now, on 31st March, auditor is standing, and what does the management say? Management is saying that while providing the trading and P&L of 31st March 2011, we did a mistake. What mistake they did? See, on 31st March, when they prepared the trading account, now they had to write here buy closing stock. By closing stock. So they are saying we included the item twice. It means closing stock, suppose what if it was 55,000, okay, they have recorded here 1,10,000. Understood? It means what? That in this particular year of 31st March 2011, they have gross profit which is overstated because the closing stock they included 55,000 extra. So obviously gross profit is also extra by 55,000. Understand one more thing. If gross profit is extra, it means net profit is also extra. Understood? Because gross profit will be transferred here. So there are two mistakes they did. First is they increased the closing stock of 55,000. Second mistake was that their net profit is increased by 55,000. Simple, because we are not saying gross profit will be also increased because the effect of gross profit will appear in net profit only. Simple. So the two mistakes they did was the closing stock overvaluation, the net profit overvaluation. As soon as I say this now, a student tells, sir, but how can we rectify that in the current year? We are standing here now, and this document is already filed. This document is already signed by the directors. It has already been seen by the shareholders. Now what we can do? Understand this. As soon as I say this now, student tells, sir, we can do simply, we will take the printout of 2011 and change the figures. You cannot do that, please. See now, what we can do here. In 31st March 2012, also we will prepare the trading account. So, while preparing the trading account, because the closing stock is overvalued here, what will I do? It will affect my opening stock. So, I will remove 55,000 from my opening stock. Understood? Very simple. Because closing stock was overvalued, it means the next year's opening stock is also overvalued. That I will remove 55,000 from opening stock. Simple. Anything else you are supposed to do? As soon as I ask this now, student tells, sir, net profit भी तो गलत था. Net profit को कैसे ठीक करोगे? It means I will go in the profit and loss statement. I will go in the profit and loss statement and I will write here 55,000 as what will I name it? Prior period item. Understood? Because it is a loss for me, so I will write here prior period item at debit side to reduce my net profit of the current year. Simple enough. Now we will write the answer of this. See. Please write answers with me. Please write answers, okay? As per AS5, prior period items are. What are prior period items? We have already learned the definition. Prior period items are income or expenses which arise in the current period as a result of errors or omission in preparation of financial statement of one or more prior periods. Simple. Then now see what we have to do. The changes, two changes are there. Rectification of the error of closing stock. So I will write here, hence rectification of errors in opening stock, valuation is a prior period item. Understood? Why prior period item? Because we did the error in the previous year, we did the error in the prior period. Now we are correcting it. The correction, the rectification we are doing, hence it is a prior period item. The amount of rupees 55,000 shall be deducted from the opening stock. This we have already done, already seen why we have to do this, from the opening stock, and should also be charged. Where it should be charged? It should be charged as, sir, we know this. Yeah, tell no. It should be charged as prior period item. Very, very good. Can I write a prior period adjustment also? We can write item also. There is no problem in the P&L account, or you can say statement of profit and loss. Then why we did this? Because prior period item requires the separate disclosure. So I will write here, and according to which AS? AS 5 requires, what AS 5 requires? Separate disclosure of prior period item because of their nature and amount. Understood this? So we have read till now three things: exceptional items, extraordinary item, and profit prior period item. Prior period item, extraordinary, exceptional, these three items, what is the common thing? All three require separate disclosure of all three require separate disclosure. Simple enough. Now we'll see the capsule number 2. See, Shama was working with ABC Limited, drawing monthly salary of 25,000 per month. Okay, she went on maternity leave with pay for 7 months. That is from 1st Jan 2017 to 31st July. Her salary for 3 months was not provided for in the financials for FY 2016-17. Remember, the financial year is always April to March. Okay. Due to omission, when she joined after leave period, the whole salary for 7 months was paid to her. Very good. You are required to pass the necessary journal entry in 17-18 to record the above transaction as per accounting standard and state the reason for the same. Okay, we will do that. No problem in this. See, here, pass the necessary journal entry. Now see, what's the answer? Before that, we will understand the case study. See, they are saying that on 31st March 2017 is here. She went on maternity leave from 1st January 2017, and when she came back, it was 30th July, I think, 31st July. So here it is, 31st July 2017, she came back. Okay. Now what they are saying? They are saying that they have paid entire money. Okay. When she joined after leave period, the whole salary was paid to her. Okay. It means when she came back, here is Shah, and what was her name? Shama. So Shama came back on 31st July 2017 and here she receives the entire salary for these 7 months. Okay. Now the company is saying that we will not record this expense of which period, of this 3 months. This is 3 months and this is 4 months. They are saying that we are in the current year. Shama has joined from 31st July. So this 4 month salary we will write that we have given to her. These 3 months they have ignored. See the statement, read the question again. Shama was working, drawing salary of 25,000 per month. She went on maternity leave. Her salary for 3 months was not provided for in the financial statements. It means they have not written anything about that 3 months salary. But when she joined after leave period, the whole salary for 7 months was paid. See, company has paid the entire amount. It is not a problem that the company is not paying and all. Company has paid the entire amount. They are just saying that 3 months are gone in the previous year. So forget about that year. In current year, it has been only 4 months. So we will write that 4 months salary we will write. So what is the error they are doing? See, they have to record both the things. So the journal entry for that will be, look very carefully, we are in this period. So salary for the 4 months is salary only. So on 31st July we will write salary account debit. How much salary we will write? We will write 25,000 per month and in current year it has been 4 months. So it is 1 lakh rupees. Simple enough. Now how much is the prior period item? It is 3 months. So I will write here prior period item account debit because it is the expense. Prior period item can be expense or income. If it is expense, debit. How much is the prior period item? 3 months. So 25,000 into 3, that is 75,000. You are paying the money in cash to cash 1,75,000. Simple enough. This is the journal entry we are supposed to pass. So now what will we write here? See, I will just shift this. And we will write here, as per AS5, net profit or loss for the period, prior period item and changes in accounting policy. The term prior period item refers to income or expense which arise in the current period as a result of error omission in the preparation of financial statement of one or more prior periods. This you have to write in every answer whenever there is prior period item. In every accounting standard, these lines are for sure you have to write because these are the introductory lines. Okay. The nature and amount of prior period item should be separately disclosed. Okay, this we already know in the statement of P&L so that their impact can be perceived, so that we will know the impact. After this, what we have to write? You can say, therefore, hence, in this case, salary paid to Shama for 3 months. Which 3 months? 3 months of 1st January 17 to 31st March 17 of rupees 75,000 will be classified as prior period item in which year? In FY 2017-18. See, 2017 already gone. We are talking about 2017-18. Okay, because we are standing here. So this year 2017-18, this year we will classify the item of previous year as prior period item. Simple. Then in FY 2017-18, that is enough. After that, what will you do? You will pass the journal entry. The journal entry has already been passed here. We'll just shift it again. The graph, or you can say that number line, will give the better idea. Okay. Now see, moving to the next part, see what next part is saying. Would the treatment have been different if Shama was terminated on 1st Jan? They have terminated her on the 1st Jan. In the previous case, they did not terminate her. They gave her maternity leave on 1st Jan. She joined back after 7 months on 1st August. Now, on 1st day itself, they are terminating her and was reinstated in service by the court with effect from 1st August with instruction to pay Shama salary for the intervening period of 1st Jan to 31st July. See, what could have happened? What did they do? They terminated her because they knew that there is a maternity leave. She will ask for 7 months salary. So they terminated her. Shama went to the court. Court gave the argument, or you can say court gave the decision to the company that you cannot just fire any employee like this because she will go on the maternity leave. So they provided, or you can say court ordered the company to reinstate her service to provide her job back to her on 1st August. But remember this, from 1st January to 31st July, on paper she was not the employee. Now court is telling to pay her the entire amount. Now remember this, she was not the employee. It means there is no compulsion of payment of salary. Simple things. It means on 1st August when she came back because of the order by the court, then I have to pay the entire money. It means this is the salary, or you can say this is the expense of that particular year only. Of the month she joined in that particular year only, we have to write the salary expense. We cannot say it was the prior period item. No. Why? Because there has been no error on the part of the company, because they terminated the employee. She was not the employee, so we will not pay the salary. So there is no prior period item. So you will write here. Now when we are paying the 7 month salary, the entry will be salary account debit entire 7 month salary. So 25,000 into 7, that is 1,75,000 to bank, 1,75,000. Simple. See, AS5 inter alia states that the term prior period item does not include other adjustments necessitated by circumstances. What are the circumstances here? Court ordered, court intervened, okay, which though related to prior periods, even if they are related to prior periods, but court intervened now, so we will not say it is the prior period item, are determined in the current period. Accordingly, in the second case, though Shama was terminated in 1617, yet she was reinstated due to court's order with the instruction by the court to pay the salary for the intervening period with retrospective effect. What is retrospective? That you have to pay from the first day when she left. The adjustment of salary 75 for January to March would not be considered as prior period. Remember this, it would not be considered as prior period and will be accounted for in the books as current year expense. And in the current year expense, we are giving the salary, so we will write salary account debit. Thus, the entire amount of salary of 175 is a current year expense only. There is no prior period item. Simple enough. Now, the next question we have here is, Mrs. PQR Limited is in the process of finalizing its accounts for the year ended 31st March 2018. The company seeks your advice on the following. See, what does the first part says? Goods worth 5 lakh were destroyed due to flood in September 2015. Okay. A claim was lodged with insurance company, but no entry was passed in the books for insurance claim in the financial year 2015-16. Okay. It means I will just draw the number line to get more clarity. See, flood happened in September 2015. After September 2015, after 6 months, there will be March 2016 year end. Okay. But no entry was passed in the books for insurance claim. Okay, we have already filed the insurance claim. In March 2018, oh my god, 2017 gone, 31st March 17. Then in March 2018, 31st March 18. The claim was passed and the company received a payment of 3,50,000 against the claim. Okay, it means we received the claim here. Wow. Money received. Explain the treatment of such receipt in final accounts for the year ended 31st March 2018. Now, you only tell me what should I write. See, we already know that fire happened back in 2 or 3 years back in September 2015. Okay, now we have already filed the claim in that particular year. When did we file the claim? Here the fire happened or the flood happened and we have already filed for the claim. Now we are receiving the money here. So you can say, understand, I would have received here only, no, my entire money. Because of some legal formalities, I have received after 2 or 2.5 years in 31st March 18. So now I will write here, due to the error, or you can say that the income was related to the prior period only. See, it was related to September 2015 only, but now we have received in 31st March 2018. So we will write here, this is my prior period income. Understood? Now, we will just write the answer. We'll read the answer here. The first lines are exactly same. I'm just reading again because I'm telling you the importance of the introductory paragraph. See, look at each and every answer. This is the format what ICAI requires. As per the provision of AS5, net profit or loss for the period, prior period items and changes in accounting policy. Prior period items are income or expense which arise in the current period as a result of error or omission in the preparation of FS of one or more prior periods. Full stop. This is same. Further, the nature and amount of prior period items should be separately disclosed in the statement of P&L in a manner that their impact on a current profit or loss can be perceived. So that we must know, see what you have to write. Whenever there is a prior period item, just if you are writing salary expense, just in bracket what we used to write, we write PPI, that it's a prior period item. So that the user, the reader of the financial statement will know, okay, this is the prior period item. Simple. Now, according to this case, what we have to write now? See, it can be perceived after that in the given case you can say it is clearly a case of error or omission in preparation of FS. Yeah, I am writing FS instead of financial statements to save the ink, okay, for the year 2015-16. Hence, you can say that claim we have received in the financial year 2017-18 is a prior period item and it should be separately disclosed in statement of profit and loss. But sir, in our childhood, we used to prepare profit and loss account. See, for sole proprietorship and for partnership, they are still following that profit and loss account only. But the companies are providing profit and loss statement of profit and loss. And I can tell you one more thing, that statement of profit and loss was not there in Schedule 6 of 1956. But AS5 made it mandatory to have a separate disclosure in the statement of profit and loss. AS5 provided this statement and then it was followed by the Schedule 3 of 2013 also. Like this, this statement of profit and loss entered in the Schedule 3. It was not there in Schedule 6. Okay. See, what is the second question we have here? Company created a provision for bad and doubtful debts at 2.5% on debtors. Provision for bad and doubtful debts, you already know what is that? In preparing the financial statement for the year 2017-18. Okay. Subsequently, on a review of the credit period, allowed the financial capacity of the customers, the company decided to increase the provision to 8%. Now what does this mean? First understand, company used to prepare 2.5% of debtors as provision. Now they are preparing 8% of debtors as provision. Why? Because company is thinking that their debtors are not in a good position to pay the money. Okay, so we are becoming more safer, or you can say we are becoming more conservative, as we have already studied the concept of prudence in accounting standard 1. This is what company is following here. They are preparing more provision. Why? Just to be conservative. Okay. What happens if in the future debtors are not paying the amount? That's why we have increased the limit of provision. Simple. Coming back to the question, they have increased the provision to 8% on debtors as on 31st March 18. Okay. The accounts were not approved by the board of directors till the date of decision. Okay. While applying the relevant accounting standard, can this revision be considered as an extraordinary item or prior period item? See, to understand this particular change of percentages, we have to just complete a very small topic. Then we will come back toward this question. Check. Concept number 5, accounting estimate. What is accounting estimate? See, by the definition only we will understand. It is very easy. Estimation means an approximate calculation or you can say the use of reasonable estimates is an essential part for the preparation of FS. Now remember that the usage of estimate doesn't reduce the reliability of financial statements. Sir, why did you write the last line that it doesn't reduce the reliability? Understand this. First, what are the accounting estimates? Every company has this particular right that, say for example, they have to charge depreciation on the machinery, they have to charge depreciation on their assets, okay? So they can take useful life as 8 years, 10 years, 12 years depending on their usage. Sir, is it mandatory for them to use any particular useful lives? No, there is no mandatory. They have not made any single decision on that. You can use whatever useful life you want. Only thing is that you have to disclose the fact that okay, I am using these machines. I expect the useful life to be 8 years because I think in the 8 years this technology will become obsolete or we will use the machinery fully. Machinery will be useless after 8 years. You just have to provide your point and you can use whatever useful life is there. Okay. So you can say, sir, like this, every company will have their own estimate. Exactly. That is why it says that accounting estimate means an approximate calculation, that according to your calculation, if you think, see, if I am using a particular laptop every day for suppose 12 to 14 hours, I will say I can use it for 2 to 3 years only. But suppose there is some person who is using 1 or 2 hours only any particular laptop, so he can use that laptop for 10 years. Like that, it depends on factory to factory, company to company, that how much years their assets could be used. So estimation means an approximate calculation for each company. The use of reasonable estimates, that if you will use the reasonable fact that okay, because the machinery will run almost 24 hours in 3 shifts, okay, so you will know that okay, machine will become obsolete or useless in 3 to 4 years. Now in some factory machinery are used for only 6 hours or 8 hours. You know that it can work for 8 to 10 years easily. Understood? So the reasonable estimate you have to make, and then the use of estimate doesn't reduce the reliability of FS. Whatever estimate you are using, it should not affect the reliability, okay? The user must feel that okay, whatever estimate they have used is proper and appropriate and it is providing true and fair view of the financial statement. Simple. Few of the general estimations are like, see, useful life of the asset, you can use anything 8 years, 3 years, 5 years. Allowance for doubtful debt, or same thing, that is provision of bad and doubtful debt. Then inventory obsolescence, like suppose we were shirt manufacturer, now there has been shirts in our factory from last 1 year or 2 years. The designs have become old, now nobody is purchasing that. So I will say that it is the inventory obsolescence. Okay. Provision for tax means how much amount I am providing for tax. Okay. Means I can guess, okay, this year I might have to pay 30,000, 40,000 or 70,000. Provision for tax you will be able to understand more when you will be reading tax. Okay. Now, provision for taxation and warranty. Warranty also you can say that many companies estimate, like suppose many mobile phone companies gives a warranty for 6 months to 8 months, that if your screen broke, we will provide you the new screen, or we will replace it, or we will repair it. Now obviously if they are selling the mobile to 100 customers, not all the 100 customers will come within 6 months. Out of 100 might be 5, 7 or 10 customers will come. Okay. So they will have a particular estimate that okay, 7 to 10 customers will come and we have to repair that service, we have to provide the repairing services. Now there is a student sitting in the classroom, he is thinking, if I will purchase, I will definitely go to change it. Why? Because we have the free warranty. Do not do that. Okay. Do not purposefully break the screen of your mobile phone. See, accounting estimate is, you can say that if you are estimating any particular number, there is the point that where the accounting estimate comes into picture. Okay. Revision of accounting estimate is an ordinary activity. Obviously, useful life of asset depreciation is the ordinary activity and are required when you are supposed to revise the accounting estimate. There is any change in the circumstance and information available. If new information is available, if more experience or subsequent developments, if suppose say you are using a particular machinery, okay, after 2 to 3 years you feel, first when you purchased it you thought that only 4 years we will be able to run this machine. After 3 years are completed, you think now extra 3 years you can run, it means the total life has become 6. Why after 3 years you are thinking this? Because the machinery is still in a good position. So the more experience, the subsequent development has happened because you think it is in the good position, so we can increase the estimate. Now coming back to our question, what was here? The company created the provision at 2.5% in the 2017-18, but now they are creating a provision of 8% on these datas. While applying the relevant standard, can this revision be considered as an extraordinary item or prior period item? This we have to tell. Now see, in the given case, you can pause the video and read the question properly. Unless you read the question properly, you will not understand the answer. A limited company created 2.5% of provision for doubtful debt, for 2017-18. Now subsequently see, understand how the answer is written. First I have clarified what has happened in the question. Now subsequently the company revised the estimate based on the changed circumstances. What were the changed circumstances? They understood that their debtors are not able to pay. See, subsequently on a review of the credit period allowed and the financial capacity of the customers, the company understood that my debtors won't be able to pay. So on the basis of the changed circumstances, I can say they want to create 8% provision. Therefore, as per AS5, the revision in rate of provision will be considered as change in estimate. Understood? Therefore, it is neither a PPI prior period item nor an extraordinary item. Both the options are wrong. Okay. Therefore, you can say the effect of change. What is the change? 2.5 to 8%. So What is the effect of this change? You have to show the effect of change should be shown in P&L account for year ending 31st March 2018. Understood? Simple enough. Now see, this was our concept of accounting estimate and how the change in accounting estimate happens. Now we'll see few capsules. Look here. Capsule number 1 is ABC Limited was making provision for non-moving stock based on number of issues. Based on number of issues for the last 12 months up to 31st March 2015. So how they used to make the provision? They used to check their previous 12 months, that how the non-moving stocks has performed, then they will make the provision. Simple. The company wants to provide during the year ending 31st March 2015 based on technical evaluation. Now they are changing their provision calculation. First they were making provision based on number of issues. Now they want to make provision based on technical evaluation. Simple enough. Understood the question? See, total value of stock was 100 lakh. Provision required based on 12-month issue was 3.5 lakh. Now they have changed it. So provision required based on technical evaluation is 2.5 lakh rupees. It means, does this amount to change in the accounting policy? Can the company change the method of provision? These are your questions. See, we have to understand this, that they have not changed the policy. Okay, see, when you say that they used to not make provision, now they are making the provision, we might say that there is a change in some policy, but they have just changed the numbers. Okay, see, look at the provision. First it was 3.5 lakh according to the old method, now it is 2.5 lakh. So you will say that it has been a change in only accounting estimate, it is not the change in accounting policy. We cannot say this is the change in accounting policy. Okay, now I'll write the answer here. See, the decision of making provision for non-moving stocks on the basis of technical evaluation does not amount to change in accounting policy. Please focus. See, requirement to provide for non-moving stock may be considered as accounting policy, but the basis for making the provision is not change of accounting policy, it is change in accounting estimate. Understand this, it is the change in accounting estimate. Okay, so you can say here that further the accounting estimate can be made or changed. See, in the given case, considering the total value of stock, the change in the amount of required provision of non-moving stock from 3.5 lakh to 2.5 lakh is also not material. Why? See, if there has been only change of 1 lakh. See, the company is having a stock of 100 lakhs. Now the provision fell from 3.5 to 2.5. So they say it is not material. The disclosure can be made for such change in the following lines by way of notes to accounts in the annual accounts of ABCC. This answer provides you that how will you disclose in the annual accounts or in the annual reports of the ABC Limited. See, what are the lines? The company has provided for non-moving stocks on the basis of technical evaluation. They are disclosing the fact that we are providing the provision on the basis of technical evaluation. Unlike preceding years, okay. Had the same method been followed as in the previous year, अगर हम लोग वही मेथड यूज करते जो पिछले साल में यूज किया, then the profit for the year and the corresponding effect, the net assets would have been higher by 1 lakh. Why our net asset would have been higher? Because according to the last year we were using how much? 3.5 lakh. So in the current year we are using 2.5 lakh only. So we are using less profit now. That's why our profit is higher of 1 lakh. They are just saying that the increase in profit, the 1 lakh increase in the profit is due to this change. Okay. Now the concept number 6 we have here is presentation and disclosure of accounting policy. See, what does the presentation say? It says that the prior period item should be disclosed separately in the P&L account to show the impact of prior period item in current year. Okay. Now errors may occur as a result of, we have already learned error and omission due to the in the previous year. So error may occur as a result of mathematical mistakes in the calculations, mistakes in application of accounting policy. Okay, like we had to write the revenue in the last year, we could not write, misinterpretation of facts, that there may be some contract we have entered into and we have not recorded the revenue in the previous year, like that, if we have misinterpreted the facts. Now we will do few of the capsules related to this. See, during the year 2016-17, a medium-sized manufacturing company wrote down its inventory to net realizable value by 5 lakh rupees. Is a separate disclosure necessary? It means what they are saying, suppose the inventory was 1 crore rupee as the book value, to net realizable value by 5 lakh. Now they reduce the value and now they are writing that the value of the inventory is only 95 lakh rupees. Now tell me, is a separate disclosure required? See, we cannot say that this is an extraordinary item. See, this is our main course of business. Inventory is the main course of business. Now we are just reducing the value of that. So it is not the extraordinary item. It is in the normal course of business. But the value is 5 lakh rupees. It means it is the material value. In the normal course of business also, we have already studied, it is one of the exceptional items. Understood? To write it down to the net realizable value. See, so we will write here that although the case under consideration does not relate to extraordinary item, but the nature and amount of such items may be relevant to users of financial statements. The shareholders, the users of the financial statements, people who have provided loan, the banks will ask that why you have devalued your inventory from 1 crore to 95 lakh, why are you booking a loss of 5 lakh rupees? So they have the right to know. So therefore we can say, is a separate disclosure necessary? Definitely yes. So it may be relevant to the users of financial statement in understanding the financial position and performance of enterprise, and it will help in, you can say, making projections about financial position of the entity. Simple enough. So you can say that again the same thing, AS5 on net profit or loss for the period, prior period item, change in accounting policy states that when item of income and expense within profit or loss from ordinary activity are of size, nature or incidence that their disclosure is relevant to explain the performance, the nature and amount of such should be disclosed separately. We have already studied the topic exceptional items. This is one of the exceptional items. Circumstances which may give rise to the separate disclosure of items of income and expense in accordance with AS5 include the write down of inventory to NRV as well as the reversal of such write downs. We can go in exceptional items and check, where is it? See, this is our point. Writing down value of inventory from book value to net realizable value. Understood? This is our exceptional item. Simple. Now, moving further. See the question number 2. A company signed an agreement with the employee union on 1st September 2016. For what? For revising their wages with retrospective effect from 30th September 2015. This would cost the company an additional liability of 5 lakh rupees per annum. Is a disclosure necessary for the amount paid in 2016-17? See what happened. The company was not increasing the salary, same my case only. Then they decided on 1st September 2016 that, see, I will make a number line here, 31st March 15, 31st March 16, or you can say 17 and 16 we will take. An agreement on 1st September 2016. So 1st September will be somewhere here, 1916, for revising wages with retrospective effect from 30th 9/15. So 30th 9/15 will be here, 30 September of 2015. They decided on this date we will increase the salary from this date. So for all these months we will provide you the increased salary. This was cost the company an additional liability of 5 lakh. Okay. Is a disclosure necessary for the amount paid in 2016-17? See, they did not ask us whether this is the prior period item or not. They are asking us, is the disclosure necessary? Now, I will just remove it. We will write here, see, it is given that revision of wages took place on 1st September 16 with retrospective effect from 30th 9 2015, exactly 1 year. Okay. Therefore, wages payable for the half year, which half year? The half year of that previous year's half year 30th September 15 to 31st March 16. That particular half year cannot be taken as error or omission. Think like this, see, management decided on 1st September that okay, we will provide you the increased salary from previous 12 months. Okay, so how can I say that in the last year there was some error or omission in the salary? Because that time there was no talk about increasing the salary. It happened only in the current year. So in the current year in September month, we took the decision from the retrospective effect. Remember, whenever there is in the most of the cases, retrospective effect is coming, it is not the prior period item. Remember this, okay? It is not due to error or omission of the last year. There was no error, there was absolutely no omission of the information in the previous year, okay? Error or omission, you cannot be taken as error or omission after that, and hence it is not a prior period item. But sir, why are we writing C? Answer requires us to explain that is it a prior period item or not, and it wants us to tell that whether the disclosure is necessary or not. Understood? Now read, you will understand. It is given that revision of wages took place on 1st September with retrospective effect. Therefore, wages payable for the half year cannot be taken as an error or omission, and hence this expenditure is not the PPI. Additional wages liability of 7,50,000 should be included in current year's wages. Understood? Including this 5 lakh. It may be mentioned that additional wages is an expense arising from the ordinary activity of the company. Such an expense does not qualify as the extraordinary item. It is not the extraordinary item. However, as per S5, when items of income expense within P&L from ordinary activity are of such size, nature or incidence, see, they are again and again writing the entire definition of exceptional item. They are not saying that AS5 describes exceptional item. They are writing the complete definition. But we know this is also the case of exceptional item only. Exceptional item. You can take the printout. Whenever you take the printout, go and check that in the exceptional item, whatever items we have recorded, those cases, whatever questions are there, we have recorded every item in the exceptional items. Okay. They are saying it is the exceptional item, and therefore the disclosure is relevant to explain the performance of the enterprise, and such item should be disclosed separately. Understood? Now, moving to the next question here. See, before that we have a mind-boggling here. Read. Omission means reliable information was available at the time of preparation. Omission does not mean that there is no information. It means reliable information was available at the time of preparation, but the information was not considered while preparing the financial statement. Management did not consider the information due to some reasons. Okay. Now, sir, what are those reasons why management do not consider? That will be given in each question. That is what we are solving. Okay. See. Tiger Motor Car Limited signed an agreement with its employees union for revision of wages. The revision of wages is with retrospective effect. The arrear wages amounted to 40 lakhs, and that for the period for 1/4 to 1/7 amounts to 3,50,000 in view of the provision of AS5. The entirely same question, only just the figures are changed. Okay, so we know that it is not the PPI. Retrospective change is not the PPI, but yes, disclosure is necessary because it is the exceptional item. It is not the PPI, it is not the extraordinary revision, retrospective effect, then we can say it is the exceptional item. Okay. Then we have here question number 4. Give 2 examples of each. First is change in accounting estimate. Okay, now think. What is change in accounting estimate? You can say estimation of provision for doubtful debt, on sundry debtors, obviously, estimation of useful life of fixed assets. They can be 2 examples of your change in accounting estimate. Now, what is the next one? Extraordinary item. As soon as you see extraordinary item, the first example is very simple. Loss due to earthquake. Loss due to earthquake. You can say flood also, hurricane also, whatever you like. Okay. Then there is loss due to strike also. The strike done by laborers and all those things. Now you might think, sir, this is also in the ordinary course. No, think. I am doing business that I want the labor strike or not? Obviously not. So it will become extraordinary. Remember the sentence I have already told in the beginning. Because I am doing this business, I want this to happen. Do you want the strike to happen? No. Remember that sentence is very, very important. Okay. It will help you to understand whether the item is exceptional or whether the item is extraordinary. Now, give two examples for prior period item. See, what can be the prior period item? Suppose I have applied incorrect rate of depreciation. There can be a chance, no, incorrect rate of depreciation has been used in one or more prior period, or you can say omission to account income or expense in one or more prior period. Simple enough. Now we will see the next question here. State whether the following items are examples of change in accounting policy. We have to identify now that whether it is change in accounting policy or change in accounting estimate, or it is extraordinary item, or it is PPI, or it is ordinary activity. Okay, now see. Actual bad debts turning out to be more than the provision. It means what? I made a provision of 30,000 rupees, but actually there were the bad debt of 35,000. Okay, what is this? This is change in accounting estimate. Now, why accounting estimate? Because I will increase the provisions. Remember the question we already did, 2.5% to 8%. That's what they are talking here. Okay. Next question we have here is change from cost model to revaluation model for measurement of carrying amount of PPE. What is this? You will say this is change in accounting policy. To understand that why it is change in accounting policy and all, you can refer the video of accounting standard 1. Okay. Now, government grant receivable as compensation for expense incurred in previous accounting period. We already know it is extraordinary. Why? Remember the sentence. Because I am doing this business, am I receiving the government grant? No chance. Because you are doing the business, if you are not like that, then to every person in the country will start doing the business and will receive government grant. No. That's why it is the extraordinary item. Every person does not get the government grant. After this we have here point number 4, that is treating operating lease as finance lease. If you are treating operating lease as finance lease, it is your prior period item. Sir, but we do not know much about this. You will understand this more when we will be studying the accounting standard related to the lease. Okay. As of now, remember this. Operating lease and finance lease both are very different. Both has the different lease expenses, the calculations are different. That's why if you are treating operating as finance, the amount will change, and if the amount is changing, it means there is the error. There is the error in the prior period, hence it is the prior period item. Okay. Point number 5 we have is capitalization of borrowing cost on working capital. See, you can never capitalize the borrowing cost on working capital. You always have to transfer this to profit and loss account. So this is also your prior period item. Now, point number 6 is legislative changes having long-term retrospective application. Whenever there is the retrospective application, legislative changes means some law has been passed, some act has been passed. So you will write here it is nothing but ordinary activity. Now, change in the method of depreciation from straight line to WDV. What is this? This is again change in accounting estimate. Remember, this is not the change in accounting policy. This is the change in accounting estimate only. Now, government grant becoming refundable. We have already seen this. This is extraordinary activity. Now applying 10% depreciation instead of 15% on furniture. So we did the mistake here. So it is the prior period item. Then change in useful life of the fixed asset. This is again change in accounting estimate. Now point number 6, question number 6 we have here. The accountant of Mobile Limited has sought your opinion. Why your opinion? Because you are a chartered accountant. Now, with relevant reason, whether the following transaction will be treated as change in accounting policy or not for the year 31st March 17. Please advise him in accordance with the provision of relevant accounting standard. Okay. You will say, sir, we are born to give advice only. Okay. Provision for doubtful debt was created 2% till 31st March. Okay. From the financial year 16-17, the rate of provision has been changed to 3%. Is it the change in accounting policy or not? You will say, sir, definitely not, because we have already seen this is the change in accounting estimate. Very good. You are getting intelligent. In the given case, sir, we were intelligent by birth only. Okay, okay. Mobile Limited created 2% PDD till 31st March 16. So subsequently in 2016 or 17, the company revised the estimates based on change of circumstances and wants to create 3% provision. Therefore, change in rate of PDD is not change in accounting policy, but it is change in accounting estimate. Accounting estimate. Okay. Now, second part is during the year ended 31st March 17, the management has introduced a formal gratuity scheme in place of ad hoc ex gratia payments to employees on retirement. See, what you have to understand. First, they used to use this payment method to pay employees on retirement. Employees who are retiring, they used to provide them ad hoc ex gratia payment, means whatever the owner feels good, he will provide the money. The management will provide the money. Okay. Now they are saying that they are introducing a formal gratuity scheme to pay the money on retirement. Understood? So, is it the change in the accounting policy? See, it is not the change in the accounting policy. Understand why? Because before there was no accounting policy only. Now only they are introducing some policy. Before, whatever management felt right, that they used to provide. So this case is the introduction of policy. It is not the change of accounting policy. So you will write here that as per AS 5, this is the adoption of new accounting policy. Okay, so you will write here as per AS 5, adoption of accounting policy for events or transaction that differ in substance from previously occurring events or transactions Previously occurring event was transaction was ex gratia payment to employees. Now formal gratuity scheme. Okay, events or transactions will not be considered as change in accounting policy. This is not the change in accounting policy. This is the adoption of new accounting policy. Okay, so you will write here introduction of a formal gratuity scheme by employer will not be treated as change in accounting policy. Simple enough. Now this is the adoption, this is not the change. When we can say it is the change? When they are following some scheme before and now they are changing the scheme, but here they are adopting the new formal gratuity scheme for the first time. Okay, so the next question we have here is, till the previous year the furniture was depreciated on a straight line basis over a period of 5 years. From current year the useful life has been changed to 3 years. It means, see, we all know change in the useful life is change in accounting estimate. So I will write here change in useful life of furniture from 5 years to 3 years is change in estimate, and it is not a change in accounting policy. Simple. Now, management decided to pay pension to those employees who have retired after completing 5 years of service. Very good. Such employees will get pension of 20,000 per month. Earlier there was no such scheme of pension. Again the same thing, that there was no such scheme, but now they are making the new scheme. It means it is not the change in accounting policy, it is the adoption of new policy. So you will write here that adoption of new accounting policy for events or transactions. The same thing you have to write here that we have already written, for events or transactions that differ in substance from previously occurring events or transaction will not be considered as change in accounting policy. Okay, so you can directly write, after writing that sentence, hence the introduction of new pension scheme is not a change in accounting policy. Simple. Now see, during the year ended 31st March 17, there was change in cost formula in measuring the cost of inventory. Change in cost formula used in measurement of cost of inventory is a change in accounting policy. That we already know, that if we are using from cost to NRV or some book value, methods are changed like FIFO to LIFO or weighted average method. That change in cost formula is a change in the accounting policy. Simple. By this we come to the end of the accounting standard 5. We have done most of the questions, or you can say most of the varieties also, whatever ICAI study material provides. Okay, this was your accounting standard 5. Thank you so much.